Hey everybody, Tracy Brown. Good morning, good day, whatever time of day it is or night you're watching this. Thank you for showing up. And I have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to do my best not to ramble. And those of you who watch my videos regularly know that I can do that sometimes, and I try to wrangle it in. So anyway, thank you all for your really kind likes and loves and comments and congratulations. Last week, it was May 17th, was my 15th wedding anniversary and the 15th year of intuitive eating for me. And I've talked about, there's another video that I talked about this last week. I think I recorded it last year about how in March, I got married in May, so prior to getting married, you know, I could feel myself starting to fall into the trap that many people do before their wedding, is that they think they have to look a certain way for pictures and what people think. And you know, I recognize, and hopefully you've recognized, if you're in any kind of situation where you feel like you need to look a certain way for others, you know, it's really about trying to manage those old ghosts of not feeling good enough, acceptable, safe, all that kind of stuff. And we use the container of dieting to help manage all those really intense feelings and sometimes just overwhelming feelings. And getting married is one of those. It's supposed, you know, it's joyful, but it's also, I mean, there's just so much change. And so I recognized somehow, only by grace, I think, that I was starting to fall. And I hadn't really been, you know, I hadn't tried to attempt a diet in a year or two prior to that. I was doing kind of a mix of watching things and intuitive eating prior, you know, to getting married, but I was doing pretty good. And I was doing kind of a mix of intuitive eating with some watching and worrying, but it wasn't as intense as definitely my disorder eating days. But anyway, you know, I get engaged in you know, earlier, you know, in several months before, and the turn of the year passed. You know, January kind of rolled around, like, you know, maybe I should like start working out a lot and get, you know, leaner, whatever. And you know, I hadn't tried to do that in a while. And so anyway, I recognized by March, I'm like, what am I doing? Hi, Leslie. I'm glad you're here. You know, so I recognized that, you know, I was falling back into the obsession and taking my focus off what was important and more on using dieting and exercising as a way to really, you know, I thought it was about how I looked. It was really about how to manage all the feelings that were so much. And so when I started to recognize that, I said, this is done, because, you know, getting married is one thing and it's a huge life transition, but, you know, then that's going to be, that wedding day is going to be over, and you think you'll want living. And there's always going to be a reason why we think we should diet externally. Now, internal reasons for dieting in terms of managing our inner world, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But on the surface, you know, there's always going to be an event, a reason, a person. There's always going to be something that can make us feel like we should do that. And, you know, that event, that moment's gonna pass, and then, you know, life is going to keep going. And so it's really important to learn how to come back and be more internal about what's going on. And whenever you feel like you want to diet, be able to, okay, what's going on? What's feeling like so much? And you can go on. My free gift talks a lot about how to decode that, so I'll put that link below. Anyway, so I appreciate y'all congratulating me on that, because it does dawn on me each year that, like, I have two different, like, little anniversaries in my mind. One of them is the last time I ever dieted, which was around March 2003, I guess. And you know, when I started true recovery, it was in December of 1996. When I started getting treatment for, you know, my eating disorder. So anyway, it's really interesting every year to see, like, how much we learn and we grow. And, you know, I definitely consider myself totally recovered. I don't worry about food or weight. It's not that I don't care about health or nutrition. It's just that I see all that for what it is. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate that. I see all that for what it is, which is, you know, a part of life, but not the most important. Which brings me to this next thing. So last week I took a little, you know, vacation, and I went to the mountains, and the pace was slow. I mean, we packed a lot of life, honestly, in those 4 days or so that we were gone. But it packed a lot of life and all that. And I recognized that even though things were busy, there's a lot more presentness. Hi, Noah. There's a lot more presentness, and there was a lot more, ability to slow down, to see, what was happening more internally. And that happens when we're out of our daily life and our distractions and even our responsibilities, is that I know something really important that I want you guys to start to think about is, hi, Natalie. Thanks for stopping by and coming live. What I think about is that our level of how, and you all, I know I talk about this a lot, but how our nervous systems are functioning, what level of activation we're at makes a big difference in how present we can be with our hunger and fullness. And I even saw that in myself. And I, make a practice of this, and I teach this every day of, if you don't necessarily feel all that grounded or safe in your body, it's really hard to tell if you're hungry, or you might think you're hungry but you don't know what you want, or and so what I'm encouraging you all to do is start to make a practice of not just tuning in for your hunger and fullness, but even before. And this is something I talk about with my clients, so you're getting a little bit of insider information here, is that something I really work on with my clients is, as they even go into their meal situations, orienting. It's called orienting. You go into because I had last week a vacation in the mountains to help me I didn't even have to practice these skill sets of orienting. I was just in it because the pace of my life was so much slower. And so what I want to encourage us all, and I'm going to be doing this too because I saw such a marked difference. And I know this intellectually because I practice it, but to feel it even at a deeper level, and now to be back home, is the more we can be on body time, slowing ourselves down to the pace at which our bodies operate and communicate, the more clear we're going to be about our hunger fullness signals, and more clear we're going to be about what foods feel good, what works. And that doesn't always mean, we're going to sometimes want cookies, and that works perfectly great. Hi, Haley. Thanks for coming. So slowing down to body time, even before you go to eat your meals, will be a huge benefit to you. So that's a little bit of what I want to share, just as kind of some of the new stuff is. And I've talked about this a lot, but I'm going to keep doing it, as the weeks and months and years go by, because I think this is the missing piece that we don't even teach that much in intuitive eating circles, is we talk about slowing down, but really orienting yourself to your situation and your surroundings as you go to eat will help you kind of chunk down a little bit deeper even into your body. So a little somatic tool there for you. And I see, like I said, my the link I'm going to put down here is going to talk a little bit about that. Plus I have a little meditation series that will help you practice that as well. So what else was I going to ask you? Oh, so new stuff. And I need your help with this, you guys, is I had a couple, this is some things that I had been thinking about prior to my trip and my vacation, but I actually want to hear from you guys. Sometimes I get inspired by things, but I don't want to be, putting things out there that you all aren't interested in, because, I create sometimes for the sake of just creating because it's there. Like my meditation series, that just needed to happen. If people like it or buy it or whatever. It was just, I think, something that really happened within a matter of a couple days, and it was done. But there's been some things I've been thinking about for months. And I guess I should have asked you earlier, but it came up again when I was on a vacation. So I thought I'd ask you guys, is that I thought about reopening. I have a very, it's about 6 week, when women stop hating their bodies kind of course, based on the book, and very accessible, but in a live group format. If anybody's interested in that, please put a link below, and I really love to hear if that's something you all would love to work on in a small group again, because I did that last year. The people who were in it seemed to love it, but I hadn't done it again because I just, I want to make sure that people feel like they're called to that as well. So let me know if you're having any interest in a body image group. And the second thing I've been thinking about for a long time is a gentle nutrition group. Live group, online, we meet probably, 4 to 6 weeks. And I've been thinking about that concept as well for a long time, because I think that a lot of people, once they get learn some of the hunger fullness skills and are able to feel that really well, and have worked through some habituation, I had a client that really inspired me to think about doing this, because she was ready, but she was really, really scared about she making food changes that might include more nutrient dense foods, because she was afraid that would either be perceived as dieting, and a part of her was just scared to do it because she was afraid she would go back to dieting. And so I'm reliving in my mind that process that we went through with her. And now she's able to see nutrition information everywhere and be like, okay, yeah, whatever, that's out there. How does that impact me? Do I need to even pay attention to that? She's got this good radar on, and this radar about the information that's out there, and would her body be beneficial? Would it be beneficial to her around that? And so anyway, I was thinking about putting together something like that to teach that concept, and that didn't take that many weeks. So if anybody's interested in something like that as well, I'd love to hear. You can email me or private message me if you're interested in what specific things you'd want to learn. Because I want to put these things together that help people catapult their progress and not be spinning on the same topic for weeks and months and years. That really aches my spirit, to see people spinning and suffering on the same thing over and over again. Okay, cool, Leslie. Okay, yeah, and that's the somatic work, Leslie. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was one of my next things to talk about. Is I really want to start helping people when that container is lifted, when that lid is lifted of you're not obsessing with food, weight, body image, exercise, all that stored up stuff. And I want to give you an analogy and see if this helps. So imagine your body is like a swimming pool. I'm looking at one right now. I'm sitting on a lanai here. Imagine your body's like a swimming pool. And this analogy came from one of my teachers, Irene Lyon. And so all of our stored up stressors and emotions, imagine those are like beach balls. Things that we haven't really fully addressed, things that you might not even have memories of. And there's something, we have different kinds of memory. And one of the memories is this picture memory that we have as infants and toddlers, that we don't remember stuff that was maybe overwhelming or stressful. Doesn't have to be trauma related. It's just, being a human is rough business. We go through a lot of things that get overwhelming, and some things just get not attuned to and missed, and that's part of life. Anyway, so imagine anything that you've ever experienced that was overwhelming, or that we're still holding on to sadness, shame, rage, whatever can come about as body sensations that we don't even have a name for. We don't have a memory that's connected to that memory, feeling, sensation, whatever. All that stuff starts to come up in some different kind of ways. And I'll share how that came up for me when I was in my recovery a long time ago. So you got your pool, which is your body, and you got your beach balls, which are all these different sensations, emotions, overwhelming whatevers that have happened, and they didn't get fully processed, worked through your nervous system, and done and out. So imagine you have all that stuff. You lift the overlay of diet, and eating disorders to me are a process thing. I don't really consider it so much like a disease. I think it's just a process that your body and your psyche and your emotions and your whole being has gone through. So that overlay is lifted once some of this, the obsession with food and body weight and image and all that is the surface behaviors and stuff have lifted more. And underneath that is a lot of, longing and need and attunement and all the feelings and the sensations. And that's basically your body is full of beach balls of all that stuff. And so the work and you've lifted a lot of that out. When you've made peace with food and body, or you're in that process, you're lifting some of those things out that are coupled with that food stuff. But some of it sticks around and stays longer. And our job with being in our body is now to learn how to titrate and feel as much as we can without getting flooded with all this stuff. And so that's what the somatic work is about, and it's really powerful. And knowing how to meet yourself with total compassion and being in the presence honestly of others they can just fully be with what you're experiencing is super healing. So that would be a good thing to talk about. So I know, Leslie, I hope that answers your question a little bit. That's something that we can definitely talk about. So I appreciate you saying it. So those are the things I needed your help with, guys, is your interest in gender nutrition and in body image and some of the somatic stuff that our friend here listed. Thank you for the heart. Those are some things that we can definitely address. And the last thing that I was really inspired with my vacay is just recognizing how much is there in all of us to love and be there for each other, and that comes in all kinds of ways. And I think all of us who've ever had food or body image things, that's our doorway in of learning that depth of patience and self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others and compassion and love. There's a lot that we all hear. Everybody here whoever is watching this, who has left a comment, who will watch this in a month or a year, if this has been like kind of your cross, maybe, if I don't know where to put it, if that's the way we want to label it, if that's been your thing, our thing, something that we've gone through, is that you've got a lot in you, a lot of light and a lot of love to be sharing. And so I just that's something that I'm thinking about writing more in depth about in terms of some kind of book, and all the ways in which it transforms people, and it ripples out. And so I'm thinking about writing something about that. So if anybody's interested, would be interested in reading about that as well, and that just transformative power of this process, not just in I'm not worried about food or weight or calories anymore, which is worth the effort in itself, but just all the next things that unfold. Because I've been doing this work professionally 12 years now, and it's like I was looking back, like I am just not the same person I was the first 4 years of practice, and then the second 4 years, and now I'm in my third 4 years, and the way my sessions are just different than they were the first 4 years and the second 4 years. And so I want to encourage you all that things just continue to evolve with how well you know your body. And even if your body really changes, because when you started recovering at 18 or at 20 or at 40, your body's going to be different, and it's going to change. And being able to be okay and feel peace in the change, even though it's uncomfortable, is something as a huge gift that we end up getting from this process. And so that grace that you're able to exude is something that the world needs as well. So anyway, these are just all my meanderings from the last week of being a little bit more off the radar, and we all need that for our souls as well. So thank you all so much for listening. Please go back to the beginning of this audio. If you're at this point, you're just not tuning in, go back to the beginning where I talked about how big a difference it is to orient to your circumstances and to slow your body down, not just your mind, but even be more, slow your mind down enough to be, if you can, and we'll talk about in future videos why that's hard and what we can do about it, to help you be more in your body. And I know that's mindfulness, but I think it's even deeper than that. It's just this really being on body time, and that will give you so much more in-depth attunement to what your body needs. And there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of trust to be found there. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching today. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.